conversation about it.
Leave it at 60.
I know, I'm a spectator. Yeah,
Okay.
Are you here? Oh, wait, hold on. So I came out of my office so I could grab it. Wait, so wait a minute. So this drive was supposed to take care of that. So wait, now I have to drive.
So, look, it's you didn't, they emailed you,
Wait, I have an extra copy.
But they have 7 of them.
So now put this in.
just come up and donate.
Thank you. Okay, so.
So you don't have the one on changes and Carla's got
I have an extra copy. I have it too. Yeah. Okay.
We can act like this college.
Okay,
She's got like 8 years on her that shows up.
okay, here's my
2
question.
nights in a row.
Let's just one of them printed out on 20 of it, one printed 20 out, but let's do the same thing. I was already circling what needs to be changed. We need that period inside that quotation.
for one.
Because the zoning
Sure,
Somebody wanted to.
Quite a few
in the original.
When you just impact that much.
Somebody.
Well, I don't know if,
highway number.
That's the only reason
Okay,
they
from
ran
Kate
the original.
That's.
where's my file that says from Kate? Okay, here we go, HRC.
Gently to the word.
This guy, you know that, he just.
Yeah, it's 29, because I was trying to compare.
Oh, I'm not gonna put the word out at all, I'm just talking to
Yeah, and that.
I know, I'm saying, I was thinking of some kind of rural.
We're just.
I had to go back and look. I had to go back and look. I get so much.
I got a couple to go already.
Wait a minute.
Facebook.
Well, wait a minute, I may not have it printed out yet, but wait a minute, I don't think I got that, because I was wondering where the changes were.
Yeah, I got it. We're starting to community.
Okay,
They suggested changes I had.
it did, but the one that HRC suggested changes.
Oh, there she is.
I guess we're gonna be glad that he's sitting back
You better stay close.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
okay, we're all gonna be thankful that he's joining the team.
Like American Family Radio, sort of talking.
No.
Wow. No, listen, like, that kind of station, talking about the environment.
Yeah, it's.
and-
No, you did.
T, well, ditto. Wait, where's the?
Wants to be a
Okay.
But with that kind of bent, right?
No, I just.
Necessarily.
Yes.
And because that's what we did the first time.
Oh, sure was. I'm looking at the notes right here.
As long as you get the feeling better. But yeah, we spent, we're in the emergency room again last night. But they couldn't do anything. You know, it's just her blood pressure's going up to like 230. And that's on all the blood pressure medications. She's on that's not and yeah,
You gotta really read them.
Well, she's on our prayer list.
thank you. I was telling everybody, please pray. Yeah, because we don't know what's going on. You know,
So it's sitting there, it's sitting in that chat.
Get out.
It's still in there.
They don't thought, so you go, you're able to.
And we will able to be able to send emails. There is an email.
did y'all get a church building?
He did.
How long have you been
And I'm supposed to
It's a cheat sheet. So I know we can have discussion.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. I
Oh, she's not
There
here.
it is.
She's out of state. Okay.
Now I get to the.
Who's been swearing him in?
Church and salt.
Okay.
Just switched,
We're gonna call this meeting to order. We really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you once again. We've got a, kind of a full agenda today, although it doesn't really look like it. But, so we're gonna move right along. Ms. Becky, would you like to give us the invitation?
Yes. Let us pray.
Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support as we begin this meeting. Help us all to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer in a group, and to nurture the bonds of our community. Amen.
Amen.
Bridge.
Raise the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marlene, can you give us a roll call, please?
Okay, Ms. Emmons? Here. Mr. Rossby? Ms. Sigler? Present. Mr. Capetta?
Here.
Ms. Dennisat?
Here.
And Ms. Granger is out of state.
Okay, we're gonna have the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Anyone wanna, make that motion?
I'll move for approval of the minutes.
Second. Have a second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Yay? Aye. Any opposed? All opposed? Motion carries. Now we're gonna talk about the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
A motion to approve agenda.
Second?
Second.
Seconded. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the first item on the agenda for tonight is gonna be swearing in of our new members. Okay, and we would like to introduce Justin Satie, and we would welcome you to our group.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote. All right. Is there any discussion before the vote?
I'm happy to serve with Mr. Satig again. He's served very honorably as a Benton City Clerk and as law enforcement for years and is now a teacher.
So somebody needs to move to appoint him to the vacancy and second that, and then y'all vote on that.
Okay.
I move to appoint him to the vacancy on the commission.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will, wait, I need it, don't I? I had it memorized at one point.
I thought you had.
I did, but I had a long day. Alright. I state your name,
I, Justin Stig,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United
and
States,
the constitutional laws of this state,
the Constitution and laws of this state,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as Commissioner, Sulphur Home Rule Charter Commission,
as Commissioner, Salsburg Home Rule Charter Commission,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
so help me God.
so help me God. Welcome. Thank you.
There's a lot of responsibilities for the new guy, and we'll go into that.
Oh, good.
They're super secret.
Next item on the agenda, we're gonna discuss Articles 1, 2, and 3 of the Home Rule Charter and make any provisions that we feel necessary. Okay. what I'm gonna do is go ahead and begin in, part one,
Okay.
and then we're gonna move our way through that. Okay. Part one of the Home Rule Charter, Article 1, Incorporation, Form of Government, Boundaries and Powers. We have no changes that have come up on that.
Wait, section 1-01 Constitution, if you look, that period needs to be inside the quotation marks on the first one. That needs to be changed. And as a style matter, Ms. Blanchard, maybe you can advise, but can we left justify this or full justify this so it looks more even? Can we full justify? Does anybody have an issue with that? I just think it's easier to read. Yeah.
Justify the margins
Okay. Well, all right.
to the right margins.
Any other items on Article 1? Let's move to make that amendment. Article 1, Section 101, to move the period inside of the quotation marks. Do I have a motion?
I move to do that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you.
Move to justify the entire document.
Yes, I also move to justify the entire document for ease of use. I prefer full justify if anyone has, I think, is everybody good with that?
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any other items on part 1? In the part 2, Article 2, City Council, 2-01, Part D, we're gonna change reapportionment to redistricting. And we're also gonna do the same as section 202. Reapportionment will be to districting on the title, and in B, we'll move from apportionment to redistricting. We move on those.
Make a motion that we, change reapportionment to redistricting on section 2.01 and 2.02. And, wherever the term apportionment is, he changed to redistricting.
I second.
Any discussion?
Sir, is this where, if we have a question about one of these, that we would speak up? Okay. Do I need to stand?
That's what I asked for discussion.
Oh, okay.
Do you have discussion on these items?
Yes,
On this
sir.
item?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pardon me. Let me get the James, excuse me, James. Sheila Broussard, my address is 316 Pecan Street in Soco, Louisiana. On section 2-02, under the redistricting now, under B, item B, it says, the end of the sentence, at least 3 advertised public hearings have been held on the proposal. I would like for everywhere where it talks about advertising, publishing, when something's supposed to go out to the public, that it be specific and clear, because like the state constitution only requires the clerk of courts to put something in printed media and the television. Well, this is, it's 21st century. Nobody hardly reads the paper anymore unless we read it online. Everything's right. Everything's right. And now we have so much electronic information out there that I would like to see it be required for it to go into the city notifications, because the city website, it has 10,000 followers. So that would get it out more than anything else. Also, the city has a Facebook page, so I would say everywhere that the city has a digital presence, that it be required for those, anything published and notification required in here be put out to the public via the city presences. And also, it should still say what the state constitution does, but it'll go out through media like KPLC, any, I don't know how you word that, but for all radio or local radio, television, that it be given to those businesses. And of course the printed businesses, whatever. You can't really say American Press because there might be other ones like the Daily News and that.
I'm sorry, are we allowed to like ask her a question in response to what she's just stated if we have a question about something?
What we'll do is we'll take this as an advisement and then we'll go over it, and if this is a change that we deem will happen, then we'll go ahead and do it.
But I mean, you'll go over it now.
No.
Why would this, if we're reviewing 2.202, before you vote on approving the changes, wouldn't you?
We can always go back.
They're gonna go back over the whole document at a public hearing meeting, which is just to get comments from the public.
When will the public hearing be?
There was a calendar that was worked out.
Yeah, we got, it was in the last minute.
It's not on the website for the city in any place, so
It's got it in the minutes.
and the minutes aren't, I didn't find them on the website.
Minutes are on the website.
They are? Okay, I just didn't know how to access them.
Yeah, it was, I forget if it was in February or March, but it was one of the.
It's right here in the minutes,
So why if something is brought up that makes sense to go into this one, that it wouldn't be discussed now?
I thought it was February.
I know we had February 16th.
I mean, what we could do, we could, like Kate said, we
February
could take
16th.
all these suggestions. We're gonna have multiple public hearings on these items, so maybe whenever we get to the end, we can schedule one for proposed changes.
For the proposed,
from the-
right, because we need to.
I think that was in this graph schedule.
Yeah.
I think it was the February one, but it might have been the March one. I don't know.
So after the whole, so what we're saying, just to be clear, for, for posterity and everybody, this whole document will be gone through, and everything will be approved according to what you all discuss. And even if something is brought up that makes sense to go in there, all of those things will be held for 2 months until the whole document's gone through. And then you'll go back through the document that time. The whole document, all at one time.
Is that
Okay?
Can we ask Kate a question on that? 'Cause I just want, Mr. Cole, can I have some clarity on that? Is that like the normal process? Like, I know we have a public, forum meetings set and we can do more, but is this like the procedure we're supposed to be utilizing?
There's no procedure, you can do whatever you want. I think the practical idea was, why don't y'all go through and let the public have an idea of what it is you're thinking about changing, and then after letting the public have an idea of that, get feedback from the public on whether those changes are good, bad, or others are needed. I think as Ms. Broussard has done, she suggested another one for y'all to consider. It would be helpful if that were reduced to writing so that y'all could then add it to the hopper. There may be people that have good or bad things to say about that, but I think you take all the proposals in that come forward to you guys or that you guys come up with, put it on the website as a draft, and then invite the public to come comment, good, bad, additional, etc.
Can one of us move to say that the advertisement will take place in accordance with the governing law so that we've covered it? Can one of us do that now, or do we need to wait?
I think that whatever y'all want to do, y'all can do. If y'all want to add a change.
The official journal.
Right.
Yes.
Because I will just say this, as somebody who's drafted legislation forever, I always think if you want to say the caveat where you cover your bases and you make sure you have to comply, you say something as simple as, in accordance with the governing law. And that way, cause if you spell it out, then chances are maybe something changes. If you say you're gonna advertise cause required by law or in accordance with governing law, you've covered it.
I think it would be easy to add as required by law if that's
Okay.
something y'all wanted to do.
I think that I would like to move to add that right there.
But the law doesn't require anything digitally to be done, doesn't require the city to put anything on their e-presence at all.
She's going over and above.
Oh, okay.
What's required by law.
What I would suggest, and I do think, like, and I absolutely understand what you're saying, but I get what y'all are saying, like, we're supposed to go over it, make the changes you want, and then if we can, in writing, if we can have a place for them to say, hey, we'd like to see it done this way, then they'll have a public input in part.
Yes, but to me, what you're writing is the law, like Katie said, this is the constitution for the city. So somewhere in there, I hope that you have a paragraph, the law for publishing, blah, 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 is, so that you don't have to say it every single time it says published, but just do that quick one, but somewhere in here, put in there all the digital things and all the more specific.
Yeah, it seems more like just a definition of what it means to advertise
Yeah,
publicly.
yeah, yeah.
I agree, like a publication definition somewhere else.
Thank you.
I have, okay, so y'all are gonna be able to ask us questions, but if it's outside the meeting, am I correct in that we're not supposed to individually meet with y'all? Or can we call you and say, this is what I meant by that?
We're gonna address that later on.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we were in redistricting, right? We were at the if I need to make a motion for, we were at, okay, so, on the second part, I make a motion for B2-02 redistricting. Wait, did we accept that?
We already, I think.
Okay, we did,
already
okay.
accepted that.
So at the end of B, I move that we add in there, publication shall be in accordance with governing law. Just one sentence, right there. And we know that the suggestion being we clarify and maybe add digital, but hopefully later. But I make the motion that we add that right there now.
I'll second.
What law governs that?
Multiple.
State statutes.
What does?
State law.
Okay, gotcha.
You wanna say state law?
Well, I would just say governing because there's more than just state law, and what I would like to do is research, the statutory requirements on the advertising and the state constitution provision again, with the idea of like Justin saying, maybe later do an entire.
Why don't we take that up after we've done
Sure.
that investigation?
Absolutely.
That we won't have to redo that.
Okay, sure, so you want me to table that suggested
Yes,
draft?
let's
Sure,
do that.
no problem. So I
Withdraw your motion.
withdraw my motion at this time, and I'm just gonna put a little note on that as a suggestion.
Justin, what about you?
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
We're on section 2-04 vacancies. We're going over two different locations in there where it moves from 1 year to 18 months. And then we're gonna say the council within 20 days when a vacancy occurs shall issue a proclamation ordering the election to fill the vacancy. And as I understand it, the 1 year to 18 month is in order to meet state statutes. And the other one is just to give us a little more time when something like this occurs. So, do we have a motion to accept the 2 18-month changes and then the 20-day changes of section 2-04B?
I'll move to make the two changes in section 2.04 vacancies, paragraph B, from 1 year to 18 months, and then from 15 days to 20 days after the vacancy occurs.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Oh, discussion please.
Yes, sir. Just the word proclamation again to tie it to what Carla was saying. This is proclamation ordering the election of the vacancy. If it could be tied to all the publishing information that Carla's been put in there or looking into.
The advertisement stuff, So like, I need to research advertisement, proclamation, publication, all of that. And we'll look at that. And then like, section. I can do that.
Okay, hold on.
Requesting an addition for the advertising and social media as per the other request based on 202B.
Am I allowed to ask Kate something right now?
Sure.
Okay. I know a few of the public advertising laws, but I don't know as many as you do. Can I just look and see what I can find and get with you on it? In case I'm missing something?
There'll probably be some generic language
There
about
is.
as provided by applicable law or something that will work
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay.
I think the changes here that y'all have, I don't know that y'all voted, did y'all vote yet? But basically 18602 is the state statute that provides for
Okay.
how you do vacancies. And it was changed over the last 40 years a couple of times, and these changes just conform our charter to that statute.
Any other discussion on those three items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I left out section C, where we're moving from 15 days to 20 again. Make a motion?
I motion, wait, your motion or?
No.
I make a motion.
You make a motion?
That you adopt, that we adopt 20. Second.
Second. Any, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Section 2-05, compensation. What we would like to omit is the compensation of the city council members shall be $350, and the verbiage that we're gonna add is as follows. The council may by ordinance change the salary of the council, provided that no ordinance changing such salary shall be passed during the last year of the term of the council, and further provided that the salary change shall not become effective during the term of the council in office at the time the salary is changed.
And Mr. Chairman, for context, that's just the exact same language that's from the mayor.
From the mayor's
article.
Right.
Mayor's
I just wanna make sure they get more money, cause that's a very paltry sum.
Agreed for what they do, yeah.
And like Kate said, that verbiage is exactly the same
Yeah,
as what's
I
in the mayor's salary.
Got that.
Okay. Motion to accept, anyone?
I'll make the motion.
Make a motion, any second?
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Section 2.6, prohibitions. And this is gonna change as follows. We're gonna omit the following after council, and no former council member shall hold any compensated appointed office or employment of the city government or any of its political subdivisions until 1 year / 2 years after the expiration of the term for which he elected to the council.
So, Mr. Chairman, for context, when this was written 40 years ago, it was seen as progressive for the city of Sulphur to specify that if you were on the council, you cannot come to work as an employee for the city for 1 year after you've been on the council.
Right.
But in the intervening period, in approximately 2008, the legislature passed a law that said you couldn't do it for 2 years. So you end up with a scenario where our charter is not as restrictive anymore, although it was very, restrictive at the time. It's not as restrictive anymore. So this matches it to the state law. And then the next sentence that you'll see there also matches to an exception that was written into state law that basically is to say there are later provisions in the document for the council appointing someone as temporary mayor if something were to happen to the mayor, And in state statute, there are provisions that specify that the 2-year rule, if you were, doesn't apply to that, because obviously it's very common historically and traditionally when they make that temporary appointment that it's one of them that's made to it. And so it's both of these provisions are conforming to the applicable provisions in state statute, which is to move it to the 2 years, but to clarify that carve out.
There's so many dual office holding in ethics laws.
And in that same paragraph, 206A, we're gonna add nor prevent a council member from appointment to a vacancy pursuant to sections 2-04 or 3-07. Do you have a motion to add that?
Make a motion, we add it.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. On that last sentence, it says, nothing in this section shall prohibit a council member from serving as a member of a charter commission. Is it this, so it's this kind of commission that a city council person could be on according to this sentence? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, and that was unchanged.
Okay, I would say that, just, most of you know my background. I've done the, walk petition around. Lots of your neighbors, your relatives signed it, so a lot of you know about it. But they were fairly adamant that they wanted this body to be elected. As I've stated in the city council meetings, I think all of you are going to do a great job. I think had you run, all of you would have been elected. So I don't think it's that you all are a problem, but the citizens that I spoke to, and there were over 100 in all 5 districts, said that they didn't want the city council to have power over this charter commission. So I feel like saying that they could be on the charter commission themselves is diametrically opposed to what the citizens would want. Is there any way that we could have that removed? Or do we need to wait till the very end of the next 2 months?
We'll take that under advisement like we did everything else, and then we'll discuss that at the public hearing.
At the public hearing, all these things will be discussed?
The items that you brought up, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna put down, is there any way we can, and you're taking minutes, so you're gonna get down what you took, but I was just gonna make a note, like, the prohibition that is requested is no city council members serve on a charter commission. All right, okay.
And are we gonna, does she need to, or if I say something, do we need to, put it, do we need to put it in writing? Was that what I was hearing y'all say?
That would be nice to have, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are those gonna be published along with the changes that y'all are gonna make so that the public will be made aware of them prior to, or they're gonna be in the notes?
I'm sorry,
Okay, so that if we make those written requests to have changes, and we're gonna have a public hearing to go over everything, and you're gonna publish the changes prior to the public hearing, will the changes that have come from the public requests, will you look into this, will that be on the, wherever you publish those, the document that they're gonna look at? In other words, if I send you a written statement saying that X, Y, and Z, when you publish this is the changes on the charter to be reviewed at the community meeting, are you going to also publish the things that the community is asking be changed that y'all have not agreed on? So the public will be prepared to discuss them.
I think I would vote, I think I would vote on those changes, and then once y'all vote on all the public's input, then y'all would send out a final.
But I think, that's why I was wondering if we could address the email issue now, because then that way they would understand that we're gonna take care of this public suggestion.
You can probably just state that right now.
Okay, do I need to move to?
No, just.
No,
Okay.
State, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
at the end of this, just so everyone's aware, cause this may help us all going forward, I'm gonna move to vacate the prior motion I made with regard to no contact, or comments outside these meetings. And then the city has already gone to the trouble of setting up an official email site, so everyone's suggestions are gonna be able to get to us, so that may alleviate some concerns going forward. It's just like, as a matter of parliamentary procedure, apparently, we need to say that after we go through these. So that should alleviate some concerns going forward in this meeting, that yes, everything y'all are suggesting is gonna be done as far as it's gonna be addressed officially at the end of all those.
I think.
You didn't answer her question.
I think the
Right.
concern for the public is whether, if they give us some input in writing, whether it will be published for the rest of the community to see.
I think that could have been.
I mean, it would probably be in the minutes, I would imagine as well.
I would think so.
Well, it probably not as a whole, because that would be extremely expensive to put all those changes in the newspaper. It would.
Electronically, it would be nothing.
Electronically, you could put it on, website.
That's what I was gonna suggest, if there would be a way, like, somehow people could access, the emails that were sent, or see what was sent and what the public comment was, via the email address that y'all set up.
Or if you even had a list for the public that says what the commission is taking under advisement from the public are.
Right,
And a
we
list,
could
just a
put
quick
that
list.
in a certain writing, that this was a public comment that was suggested. Yeah. We're gonna figure it out.
I know you are.
And
We
we'll
have to work through it.
We'll have a way to address that. You will have, hopefully, a site where you can send something in writing to.
That's excellent.
And then we will be able to accept that and take a look at it. And we will all have privy to that.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna pop up and say something, and I'll sit back down.
So that way we can get it in the minutes, correct? All our public comments are going in the minutes?
I'm gonna try my best to put all the, that's a lot.
But if she has a side thing that says taken under advisement list, that they add to each time they get together, she won't have to put all that in the minutes.
Okay, all right, that sounds good.
Right?
Yeah.
I think sending it in would be very important.
Sir?
I believe sending it to us would be very important.
In writing.
Great. Yeah, I like emails.
Yeah, put section number, maybe, and whatever you want your comment. Where are we?
We're on prohibitions, we're at 2-7 now.
2-7.
Oh, did
Did we vote on two? We
I
voted on
thought we
2-6.
voted on
I thought we did.
Oh, we did not?
We did not.
I don't think we voted on 2-6.
We've had our discussion, I believe. Any more discussion on 2-6? Okay. Do we have a motion?
We had a motion and second.
Motion second. Okay, no more discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is section 2-07, council meetings and rules. At the end of section A, we would like to add, unless agenda items are added in accordance with applicable state law. Period. Do we have a motion?
I move for that, cause it needs to be clear that it's gonna be amended in accordance.
Do we have a second?
One second.
Second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Section 2-07C. What we would like to do is add all action, this is in place already, all official action of the city council shall be posted. And what we are adding is and posted in accordance with state law. Published and posted in accordance with state law. And we are omitting the official journal within 30 days of the action taken.
Can I know one thing about this? I don't think state is supposed to be capitalized right there, am I wrong? School teacher weigh in on this. Do you agree with me,
Well,
Mr. Statu?
I would think that it would be if you're referencing a particular
I'm just
state.
saying that, don't know.
Like, you're not saying state of Louisiana, but you're referencing the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, but I still think it's in.
He's right.
I don't think so. Alright, let me look at it. I don't know. I don't believe so. I think that in that context, state is not supposed to capitalize. Let me go.
We wanna make a motion and then we'll look that up.
Yeah,
Take your time.
We gotta
Look that up.
capitalize it.
It's capitalized
I just,
everywhere.
I don't think that's, well, family.
We'll figure it out and,
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean.
I have a motion, I
that's
make a
just
motion
small.
that we look at that later, cause we could find and replace everywhere.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept, the changes as made in, letter C?
I make a motion, we accept it.
Okay, second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Section 2-07 D. I'm gonna read the changes. At all regular and special, which is a change, meetings of the council shall operate from an agenda which shall, and we have crossed out have been, which shall be posted in accordance with applicable state law. We are gonna omit a prominent place in City Hall and made available to the news media within 7 days of the meeting. We are also gonna add, in accordance with applicable state law, the published agenda may be amended at the meeting in accordance with applicable state law. We in turn are going to omit, upon the favorable vote of a majority of the council membership, but only for routine administrative matters which develop between the time of the agenda was submitted for publication, and the scheduled meeting, period. The agenda for special or emergency meetings shall be made available to the public as soon as practical prior to the meeting. And that's another item that will be omitted. Everything is gonna be done in accordance with applicable state law.
And Mr. Chairman, just for context, that brings this into compliance with the provisions of revised statute 4219 BICC, which basically, probably the most practical change of that is that if the amended agenda was not sent out in the same manner as the main agenda, with being posted in the news and all that stuff, that to add an item requires a unanimous vote instead of a majority vote. And so that is the requirement in statute, and so this would bring us in compliance with those statutory requirements.
Thank you. Do we have an amendment, a motion to accept?
Make a motion, we accept it.
Second? Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excuse me, discussion.
Discussion, sorry.
There's a really big problem with eliminating, having to only do administrative stuff added to the agenda. Case in point, a couple of months ago, there were 12 items on the agenda, and the council added 4 more. One of those items was giving a liquor license to someone. So there was absolutely no notice to the public about that. I do know that some of the council members went and talked to the neighbors, so they felt good voting for that. But that doesn't protect the public. If I don't live in an area, but I am, by my religion or whatever, compelled to look into whenever a liquor license is being thought about for a neighborhood, I think that this should be left the same. And I know that the state constitution only requires a unanimous vote by the council, but this charter is our constitution. There are many definitions of a constitution throughout our history, but all of them seem to contain 2 things. The Constitution is to restrict politicians and government, and to protect the freedom and the rights of the people. The right of the people to know is going to be infringed upon in a great way. This Constitution that you're working cannot be more lenient on politicians than the state one, but it can be more restrictive. And I just posit that this is one place where it needs to stay restrictive. And I'll circle it and come back to it at the end.
Thank you. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is section 210, council employees. Letter B, we will omit A. At the end, we will say, and reviewed annually. Okay, do I have a motion to accept that?
I move that we accept that change to section 210, council employees, paragraph A.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Do we have any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 2-10B, we will omit by ordinance and add by adoption of the operating budget.
I have a question about this, and mainly it's because right now, I guess I presume it's set by ordinance. So we're going to be removing by ordinance to be adopted by the operating budget, and it seems to me in some ways takes away from the council. Not saying that anybody now would do this. Obviously, we're doing this for the future of the city. But for, let's say it would be changed and the council would not, let's just say, do their due diligence in the future and review the operating budget and what was being paid out. Yeah, that would be my only concern.
And like I said, this only affects one employee.
Yes.
Okay. That's me.
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
You,
Yeah.
you know, actually, you know, but it's kind of embarrassing that I'm only employee that, you know, the whole world knows what your salary is, which they could do a public records
In
request.
public records, it's available, and
You know, and everybody else gets paid by the operating budget, you know,
Okay.
adopt the operating budget.
The operating budget
That's my question.
is approved by an ordinance. It only goes into effect when the council adopts an ordinance approving it. So what I think this would do is, instead of a standalone ordinance being passed just to set the salary of one employee, you would move the council clerk into the table of employees with all the other city employees, where the council's adoption of the budget, which is by ordinance, does whatever adjustments are necessary to it. So you still have to have a vote of the council, and the council could amend it. Obviously, the administration does propose the operating budget, but the council can amend it before it adopts it. And so it's really, from a power perspective, there's no change in the power. The power is the same. From a logistics perspective, would be moving it from a standalone ordinance to include it in the table of all the other city employees.
So it's for consistency. That's
Fair
what it's
enough.
proposed. Okay.
streamlined, and then the city council still has to.
Fair
Did we have a motion?
We do not.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, before you leave, I'll just add this. All these provisions fit together. And so, for example, I'll just, before we get off that, like the deletion of in the official journal within 30 days. Well, that didn't delete anything. State law already required that. It was just saying, well, you know, if state law requires it within 15 days instead of 30 days or 60 days or whatever, we're going to follow what was already required. This is similar. You know, you don't have to specify, because there's another provision later in the document that says the operating a budget is adopted by ordinance. So it all you know, it's a puzzle that all has to fit together.
Okay.
Thank you. Section 212, ordinances in general. On item C, last paragraph, beginning with, which is part of the original document. Every enacted ordinance, unless it shall specify another date, shall become effective, and we're adding, upon approval of the mayor or approval of the council over his veto as provided in section 2-13. And what we're omitting in reference to that is at expiration of 30 days after publication by the council.
And Mr. Chairman, just so you have some context on that.
Yes, sir.
The default of after 30 days from publication, it's complicated for the staff and whoever's trying to administer this. When something's trying to get approved, you don't know how long it's going to take to get to the paper, how long it's going to take for them to publish it, then you got, 30 days. So what the current provision says is unless a different date is provided. So what is almost universally occurring and has been occurring here for a long time is that you insert an extra paragraph in every single ordinance that says this ordinance is effective upon the signature of the mayor. So therefore you have set a different date. So that provision about the 30 days in a practical sense doesn't ever apply because you put a clause in almost every ordinance that says this ordinance goes into effect upon the mayor's signature. And so what this does is it just flips that, in that the default, which is what's already been occurring, will become the default, and that every ordinance will become effective on the mayor's signature. Again, unless the council specifies a different date. So that if there is a desire, let's say it were a criminal ordinance, and it were a desire to let people have more time to know what's coming, the council could say, okay, on this one, we're going to do July 1st. And they could specify a different date. And there will be some instances where there will be a need to do that. But most of the time it will follow what's the current practice, which is it'll just be on the mayor's signature.
How do I make a comment about stuff that y'all haven't addressed? That was on section 211A, one of those numbers under there.
Let us get through this one, and then we'll let you talk. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll go back to that. Do we have a motion? Okay, we have a motion to accept that? That's 212C. 212C. Second. Okay. Any discussion? Discussion.
Natalie McClendon, Southwest Louisiana Journal. I just have a general question. How will the working documents containing the proposed changes to the charter be made available to the public?
By request.
Thank you.
And Arlene, the draft will be put on the website prior to the public hearing.
How's it going to be made available to the public, like public access?
I can ask again. I asked if the working document that contains the proposed changes.
These that we're looking at here?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your question?
How that will be made available to the public.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
I didn't either.
I'm sorry.
You talk fast.
Have to speak up, I'm hard of hearing.
Yeah.
Come back to you.
What?
She did, yeah.
Famous words, what?
Let's see. Discussion, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item, section 2-13, submission of ordinances to the mayor.
Are we going back to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to 211. Thank you for reminding me.
Then I think,
I didn't know you was gonna do it.
We'll do it right now. That's good.
and this may not, do I need to go up there, or can I just, okay.
Can you please go up there?
Yeah.
No, you just make it aware of.
Cindy Robertson, 624 West Verdun. Okay, I have had and this may not be, on number 16, it says amend or repeal zoning plans, maps, variances, and regulations as submitted by the Land Use Commission. So those are all ordinances that are in, but how do we find out what the interpretation of those ordinances are?
Ordinances are interpreted by judges, and most likely, I mean, that's what's supposed to happen if they come up.
You mean for each meeting?
But it's.
No, I mean, just like, I'll give you for example, I had a hose hooked up to my RV that I was letting, researchers from different universities across the country, stay in, and I was told by the whoever it is that's responsible for that, very nice man, that I was not able, you can't have a visitor in an RV that's on your property. And the ordinance that was quoted was section 1411, and the purpose of section 1411 specifically says that it is for RV parks, and it defines RV parks as a place or where there's one or two RVs on a property. No, not that one, it's in the ordinances.
Okay.
So, there's obviously, and they said that was the standing, that's what they're doing. So, how do we find out how it's being interpreted so we know not to do that if it doesn't say that in the ordinance, is my question.
What I think we need to do is you send that to us and we'll pass it on to the land use people and let them address that.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as, we have our city attorneys that when we have a question, we go to our city attorneys and they tell us what exactly that means.
Okay.
So
They can help you with that.
Okay, that'd be great.
I have one under, 211A also. Number 18 under 211. This says the council can do these ordinances, number 18, propose amendments to this charter. So my question is, if you all are writing this charter, then according to this, I'm asking because I'm not sure what this means. Is this saying that the council can then say, oh, we don't like the way they did this one, so we're gonna delete that one by ordinance and we're all gonna agree to that? Do you see what I'm saying? Can they change anything that you all are doing here? But that,
The provision, Mr. Chairman, the provisions on amending the charter are in section 7-03. And what's always been the provision in the charter is that the council can propose an amendment by a 2/3 vote, and then it has to be voted on by all the citizens of Sulphur. So nothing would change that provision. This is just saying that in the exercise of that power, the council has to do it by ordinance, which is a protection for the public because ordinances require introduction, public hearing, and more notice than can be done for, say, resolutions, which could only just be adopted at the same
so the
time.
public still has to
Right.
vote on it.
And Ms. Broussard, I think this is, under the legal concept of the more specific prevails over the general. So this is the general kind of telling them to get to that default that he just discussed, which the public has to vote on, so.
Is there any way you could just add C section 7-03 so that some, layperson like myself reading through goes, oh, then I'll know to flip there and read that and I won't be alarmed.
I'm writing it down.
We'll write that
Thank you,
down.
Kay.
You're right. Ms. Broussard, are you gonna send an email with all these?
Yes, ma'am.
Say,
Seven.
dash 03. Okay,
That's
she
right.
just-
She just wants that
Send
after
to
number
us.
18.
Yeah, number 18.
I believe. 213, section 213, submission of ordinances to the mayor. Section A, last sentence, the clerk of the council, we will add comma, or in the absence of the clerk, the chairman of the council. motion to accept?
I move that we accept the change in section 2.13, submission of ordinances to the mayor, paragraph A.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, kind of going back to what Cindy said before, when y'all skip over stuff, then we don't have an opportunity to say, is there any discussion about this? I was wondering if you could just do section 212 as is and just vote on it to accept things as they are instead of skipping over them. So then
Well,
it can kind of.
they're already accepted.
Already there.
They're already
Yes.
there.
Okay,
So making a motion and accepting it again, it would be redundant.
Okay, so when you skip over something where I have a note, you want me to just stop you at the end of whatever you're doing and bring that up?
So you have something on 212?
212, A?
Well, 212 doesn't have. Oh, what there? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you can do here, so I'm just gonna give you the situation that I noticed in the city council meeting and see if you all have any ideas. It says ordinance shall be introduced in writing at a meeting, and then at the end of that, it says expressed clearly in the title. I believe there's somewhere in Robert's Rules of
Oh,
Order.
okay.
I don't remember exactly where it is in Robert's Rules of Order, and it does discuss this, that when something is put into the agenda, that it should say specifically what the council intends to do. And when the videos were gotten rid of, the article specific said that the council was gonna give the mayor the opportunity to join into a contract with the videographer. So that's saying the mayor wants to join into a contract with the videographer. It did not say the mayor wishes to no longer do videos of the meetings, which is really what they intended. And if you go back and listen to the video, you can tell the discussion was, now what does this mean? And several different people said things. I remember Mr. Kuntz said, so this means that we vote no and it will stop the videoing. And they said yes. Drew had said, when someone said, does this mean, someone from the audience had said, does this mean we're not gonna have any more videos? And Drew said, that's correct.
How would you make could you send us how you would make the changes to this?
Is there any way to put more weight in there or what do you do when the city council does the opposite of what the charter says, like there? Where the wording is completely opposite of what their intention was?
What are you talking about?
I'm not very clear on that, to be honest with you. I know what happened, but I'm not very clear on how you're planning to address that.
It was not expressed clearly in the title and the agenda of what was gonna take place at that meeting. But I guess it says it there, and if they don't do it, then they don't do it.
It says that it has to be done,
Yeah.
so I'm
There's
not
nothing
sure.
more we can really add to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
I
pretty
mean,
clear right there.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarity, it is not uncommon that, for example, the agenda item is to grant someone a rezoning because they've asked for a rezoning. And for whatever reason, of course, the council doesn't know what it's gonna do until it gets into a meeting. That would be illegal. You can't pre-discuss things outside of a public meeting. So at the end of the day, the discussion is had, and they say, you know what, we don't want to give that rezoning. Well, the ordinance that's being proposed is to give the rezoning. The fact that it's unanimously voted down doesn't change the fact that what was being proposed was a rezoning. It's you don't change that to say in the agenda to deny a rezoning, because that would make no sense, because you're Your only thing you can do is request a rezoning. So you propose what it is the proposal. If they vote the proposal down, they vote the proposal down. The videoing was very similar. It was to authorize the videoing. The council chose to vote that down. They could have voted it, in favor of it, and then it would have happened. They chose to vote it down, but it was correctly on the agenda because the proposal was to keep doing the videoing. And if it would have passed, then that's what the proposal was. It happened to have failed.
And it met what was in
Certainly.
charter.
I just have a question, because I mean, I think the one subject is real limited. You can't make it subjects or subject with an S would that be better? I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean,
It might-
the one subject rule is to keep you from putting together a,
It would be too broad than if you, okay.
Yeah.
Cobbling things together.
I don't know. We looked through the, Robert's Rules of Order, we can't find anything.
We're trying to find a specific
Yeah.
part for that.
I mean, it's just,
Requires
I understand that it would be, if the way that that's to be dealt with is the public knows that there's something going on, whether it be a rezoning or a videoing or whatever the item is. They're welcome to say their piece, and then the council has to vote, but you have to state what it is you're doing. No one from the council proposed an ordinance that says we're gonna, if it was in effect, and then in the middle of it being in effect, you wanted to end it, then yeah, you would have needed an introduce an ordinance to end it.
To end it.
But because it was the time to renew it, the only thing you can do is introduce an ordinance to renew it, and then it happened to not pass. It could have passed, it just happened to not pass.
So they only could have worded it that you wanted to re-enter one, they couldn't have worded it.
There was nothing to cancel. I mean, what you couldn't have put on the ballot, on the agenda, cancel, there was no more videoing it didn't exist. If you have a contract in effect, right? And it's for January to December, and on, June the 30th, you want to end it immediately, then yeah, that's introduction of an ordinance to terminate a contract. You say it that way. But there's nothing to terminate. It didn't exist anymore.
So they could have just not even put it on the agenda and his contract would have ended.
It would have ended. That's
So there was
correct.
no reason for it to even be on the agenda.
Except for it needed to be on the agenda because they needed to decide what they wanted to do.
Thank you.
We don't supersede.
So we're 212, we're done with. 213 was passed.
213.
Excuse me, we have 213, section D, where we will once again change reapportionment to redistricting. Okay, got a motion?
Make a motion, we change it to redistricting.
Okay, we have a second? Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. 214. Comment on 214. Okay, we'll go to 215.
Wait.
Oh.
Yes, I would, I'm looking at 214C, and it says emergency ordinances shall be effective for no longer than 60 days after the final approval. But like with Laura, it took a long time for everything to get back to normal. Was 60 days enough for the council to get back in and everything to, I'm thinking about big natural disasters in the future.
Mr. Chairman, what you do is you come back and you adopt the same provision via the regular process. The 60 days just gives you time to go through the regular process.
And that's what happens with gubernatorial proclamations also in natural disasters, so that's handled by.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure we had enough time.
Thank you. Any more on 214? Okay, we'll move to 215, where we will change the accept that period for 30 days and line through the 60 portion of it. All in favor, motion to accept?
Move to accept.
Move to accept. Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Real quick, just a clerical thing. At the first sentence, it says technical relations by reference. Did they mean regulations? Or was it supposed to be relations?
Technical, you know what, I think that
I agree, that's a typo.
that's a typo, Chicago. Good job, Ms. Broussard. I move to change relations to regulations.
We didn't,
Oh, sorry.
we didn't vote on the first one.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll go to that, if that's
Okay,
all right. with you?
sure.
Okay. Any discussion on the 30 to 60? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries? Okay, we wanna.
I wanna move to change relations to regulations.
I'll say.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Anything in 216?
Yes. Do I need to go back up there?
You can stay there.
Okay.
Well, could you go to my, so.
Oh, there's a mic there? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I'm catching her recording.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it.
Okay, alright, where are we? In section B, the last line says shall be distributed or sold to the public at no cost. Is there any way, you know, if we can get stuff online, we can access it ourselves, and every document we have is digital now. So, you know, and then that way we wouldn't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money to get the information that we need and tie everybody up and, you know, in trying to get to it, calling and going up there and going back and all that. Is there any way that can be just provided digitally?
I think that's kind of in keeping with what we talked about before about some sort of digital access publication, that sort of thing. So should we, you know, address that?
The city's ordinances are published digitally on
Right,
Unicode,
Unicode.
and so those are updated and those are available to everyone. This would just be if someone came in and said, you know, I don't care about the fact that it's free online, I want you to hand me a copy. We would charge the normal per page charge for a public records request, which is I think $1.50 or something.
And Unicode, ma'am, is free. Like I was just on it.
Yeah, no, that's where I got this from.
Right. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, can I? And I'm just saying, do you think that there should be a concert on that? I'm just saying. I think there should be a call after number.
See, I wouldn't have put a comment
I'm a big believer in officer comments, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it could go either way.
I
I've
think
seen it
it
both
could go
ways.
either way, so we could just say
Yeah.
it's fine.
Should it state that it can be found on Unicode to make it more
Well,
accessible?
No, because it may change.
Right,
Yeah.
Unicode has handled it for years, but who knows who's gonna take over next? Somebody else could take that over. They could get sold.
Okay, 217, section A. In the last sentence, we'll add special laws applicable to the city. That full sentence will read, the council shall have and is hereby granted all the authority to levy and collect taxes, to incur debt, and issue bonds and other evidences of indebtedness, as is now or hereafter conferred on governing authorities of cities by the Constitution and general laws of the state. And we're adding comma, special laws applicable to the city and which already exists or may be hereafter specially conferred by the electors of the city. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to adopt.
Move to adopt.
I second.
Second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We will skip over pending any discussion to section 3-04? None? 3-04, we will admit the salary of the first mayor elected under this charter shall be $38,500 annually. We will be admitting that.
Wait, omit, yeah, omitting.
Omit.
Yeah, that's right, if
Omitting.
then, hey, we're gonna omit that.
Omit.
If you don't, I'm quitting.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll next move to 3.3-07. Good? Okay. In section B, this is the basic changes to 1 year to 18 months
What we did earlier.
through that entire section, and then section C will move from 15 to 20, just like we did earlier. So what we would need is a motion to accept B and C.
I move, I think that's supposed to be consistent with state law, correct, with the requirements.
Is that months?
I'm sorry?
15 to 20 months?
Days.
Days.
Thank you.
Days.
I move to adopt those changes.
Move to adopt. Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving to section 3-08. Section B, we will add and available to. Unavailable to. Thank you, Becky. I'm getting shell shocked up here.
You got all kinds of people.
And so it will read, when the mayor expects to be absent from and unavailable to the city for more than 72 consecutive hours, the mayor shall notify the clerk of the council in writing of expected duration of the absence. We have a motion to accept.
I move that we accept that, 3.8 mayor's temporary absence, paragraph B. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a question.
Okay.
Oh,
So, in other words, if he's absent for 72 hours, so does he have to appoint someone, or can he take care of business
Zoom or something.
with his, everything's cell phone and Zoom and
I think
all
that,
that, so,
I think it's unavailable.
completely unavailable.
That's why
Yes,
we.
ma'am.
okay.
Cell phone.
I think that's how it would be interpreted.
Okay.
I mean, that would be if it was like out of the country
Totally
or
out of
something.
pocket.
Yeah. I mean,
Out of the country.
Right.
No signal.
Right, no,
No
yeah, no
signal.
cell
No signal.
phone.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Motion to approve. Did we have a motion to approve?
I bet you did.
Oh, Becky did. Second?
I say,
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will move to section 310. Okay. What we will do is we will be changing from 1 year to 2 years upon the expiration of the term which elected. That is section 3-10A. Do we have a motion to accept?
motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A second. Any discussion?
On 310A?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. The very first line says the mayor shall be a full-time official. So if it's a full-time job, I understand that they can't do anything other job within the city. But if this is a full-time position, shouldn't they not be able to have a job outside of this job? I mean, that's what they do with the plants and places like that, management places. I mean, not to go into effect while we've got this mayor here, because that's not fair to him, but to go into effect after this.
We obviously had a prior mayor who owned an insurance agency and just different things. The way that's been interpreted for state purposes is it says you owe 40 hours a week to the city of Sulphur. you're not supposed to be off. You know, like Denton and DeQuincy and stuff have part-time mayors, right? So they can work, you know, a job and still come in and do mayor in the afternoon or whatever. What this is saying is be available to be to the city for 40 hours a week. And then if outside of that 40 hours a week, you have a business, you know, maybe it's cutting grass, maybe it's an insurance agent, whatever it is, you're not prohibited from doing that on your own time. And that's how it's generally been interpreted. And, you know, they track the mayor's, you know, vacation and all that stuff. And it, you know, if he wants to take off to go do something else, you take vacation. And that's been the practice here and in Lake Charles for a long time.
That makes sense, thank you.
Do we have a motion to accept?
We already have one.
Oh, we have
did?
one?
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second.
She's just a tip.
Oh, this is.
Mr. Big did.
All right, thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Section 310, prohibitions B. We will add nothing in this section shall prohibit a former mayor from appointment by the council to a vacancy pursuant to sections 2-04 or 3-07. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Becky seconds. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that ends the first three pending are getting comment from the public. Not pending, we will be getting comment from the public on that.
And it's now the time for me to make the motion that I need
If
to.
if we're ready to move on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to, item number 3, discuss rules for public input.
In keeping with that, at the first meeting, there had been some discussion, and I had made a motion that we would not be discussing these rules outside these meetings. I think it's incumbent for the public to have the opportunity to comment, and, I believe that there's already been an email set up by the city for these purposes, but I would move that, to vacate that prohibition at this time. And that would, the public be allowed to submit input in writing via an official email address that is provided.
So, okay, for reconsideration of this, they would need to vote no, so that first motion is not adopted.
All right, let's see. So
That was to not accept comments from the public.
that was adopted, right?
It was adopted.
Whoever moved it needs to move to reconsider.
I moved
it.
it.
She just.
Yeah, I just
So,
did, but I said vacate.
The
when-
first vote is to reconsider,
Okay,
and then that's a yes. Then yes, that's correct. Then you vote no on the original
Okay.
motion to impose.
okay, I moved to reconsider that. You gonna second it?
No.
Can somebody second it, or anybody, are we moving?
I think we do.
I second it.
Second, okay.
Okay, so we're considering it now?
Yes.
You have to vote to reconsider.
We have the discussion.
If you want to reconsider, vote yes.
My question is, if there will be any way for South Florida residents to contact their commissioners with concerns besides email?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it on the website. A phone number.
Do you mean, well, okay, but that gets back into what our original concern was, that like how the best way to make sure that we're disseminating information that are areas of concern for the citizens is to make sure that we all have it. So the idea being an email that is shared by
Okay,
you,
so just to remind
the
you.
secretary, with
Okay.
all us,
Okay.
is the best way to make sure we
Okay.
all have
Okay.
the concerns.
So we'll know.
Yeah, so that way if somebody doesn't contact me.
Right.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
Right.
Nobody else knows about it.
Right, we should all know. So I move to
Yeah,
reconsider.
We gotta vote to reconsider.
Vote to reconsider.
Okay, can we reconsider?
We're in discussion.
Oh, okay, we're sorry.
So what we're saying is what move is premised with the fact that we can't accept comment anywhere outside of that one email address.
I think originally the idea, and I don't know how we ended up articulating when I read the minutes, but I mean, I think Sydney and I were concerned originally was we want to make sure that everybody on this commission is having the same concerns brought to them, and that we're not any one person being given concerns and somehow fail or forget to relay those concerns to the rest of us. The idea being if there's one central email that's being monitored and disseminated to all of us, then we all get the concerns. We all know what the problem is.
So what my thought is that any of the other committees that are out there, there's a list of committee members, there's an email, and there's a phone numbers associated with that.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is that I don't believe that we need to only limit comment from the public to that specific email only. If someone wants to contact me, then they ought to have that option.
Well, and my only concern about that is, as somebody who runs a law office and has 1 million emails a day, and I pay my IT guy a good bit of money to make sure that it is filtered appropriately. I don't want people inundating my work email that is supposed to be for work purposes with emails that are related to this Home Rule Charter Commission. I can't afford to do that. My email is time is money for me in my profession. I'm happy to help sit and serve, but it needs to go through official channels for me.
Well, my suggestion would be is to do what I did, is to set up a different email. And whether it's on Yahoo or Gmail or whatever it is, where you can get it through that, and it doesn't affect your business at all.
I could create a separate Gmail.
The time it takes to go through all that and read it all, because you're gonna be getting things, and others will be getting things, and we're gonna have to disseminate that amongst us. So we all know we're on.
And tell me, and Mr. K, tell me if I'm wrong, is that, you know, I've contacted members of the land use and looked at the amount of contacts that they get, and it's really minimal to that one item or a couple of items that they're looking at any specific time. Mayor, you want to comment on that?
I've had a conversation with our IT department about this. They can't set up a sulphur.org email address for each and every one of y'all. However, if you go to respond, it's going to respond on your email. It's not going to respond on the sulphur.org email.
Okay. Does that mean that, okay, dumb it down for me, Mayor, because it's tech stuff, I'm gonna need it. So in other words, you'll have like Carla Sigler at sulphur.org, whatever for this. And then when I respond, which is gonna be my Carla at Sigler Legal, I'll be at my work computer typing, it's gonna send out from that email, or is it gonna look like it's sulphur email?
It's going to send out to your email.
So then if they respond back, because we know how this goes, then it's gonna be coming back to me.
What it would do is it would forward automatically so that the public, the public wouldn't know your personal email address if you didn't want them to, but you would get any communication.
Yeah, if you respond, it's going to your personal email will show.
I got you. So, okay. So, but that is some limitation. So that way it would be forwarded to us. I just feel like, and listen, I have no problem setting up another email. I got 4 email addresses. Never thought I'd be one of those people, but I am. So I have no problem setting up another one just for this. Whatever y'all want to do, I'm gonna do. Whatever is best and everybody agrees to here. I'm open to any suggestions.
Can I say something as a community member? I like the idea of having one person to email and it goes to everybody. Because, and then anybody can respond to me. But knowing that it's gonna, when I send something to Arlene, then it's gonna go to everybody, then that's very comforting, so that way it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of anybody.
I guess what we're saying, we're not getting rid of the sulphur email, right? Like that's gonna be there.
No, that's not.
So you could have both, and then if you choose, most people will probably send through that email because they know we'll all get it.
So, okay, so if they want to keep it my email only, we don't need to do anything then. No action taken on item number.
Well, but
I think the way it was worded was a little broad.
It was too broad.
And you know, if somebody just approached you at the grocery store and you wanted to talk to them, maybe people felt like they didn't want to not do that if they, that's a personal choice.
Okay.
I mean, if somebody says, no, I don't wanna talk to you, that's fine. Maybe somebody wants to say, yeah, I do wanna talk to you.
Well-
So my thought would be y'all reconsider that, and then everybody knows they make their own decision, and then the email address is out there for those people who want to reach out to everybody.
That we can be approached.
Okay. So I move to reconsider that everybody can make their own decision about whether or not we communicate with the public.
Well, we're gonna make a motion to reconsider
Okay.
the initial.
Okay.
Is that good?
Sure.
Okay.
You're that we talked about, we need to, just explain it, so we need to motion and second to reconsider. Y'all would vote yes, and then next will be, then you vote no.
Then we vote no.
Original. Yeah.
So, we have the motion in place, we have a second,
Yes.
we've had discussion, any
Yes.
more discussion on that? What we wanna do in order to move on this will be to vote yes on this portion of it. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, we move. I'll walk you through this now.
We would need a motion and
We need it.
second to, vote on the original.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
and when we vote no.
Okay, so we need a motion on the
Well, no,
original.
when it's a reconsideration, it's already in
Okay.
front of you. You just need to vote on it now.
Right, so they would vote
Yeah,
no.
and you vote
if-
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we need a motion, okay?
You do
Now-
not need a motion, it's
Okay,
already
so we-
before you.
No.
So we're gonna vote on this. All opposed, say no. No.
No.
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Any in favor, say
No.
yes.
You can leave
Okay,
it to water.
it passes, motion passes.
Okay.
I'm sorry for that, I did it.
It's
I
No,
did
no,
it,
it
I
is
did
good.
it
Yeah, I'm gonna
backwards,
read
yeah.
this.
It is confusing.
Okay, so we did
Y'all
that.
talk really loud.
Wait, and I think your email is already public, am I correct?
Yes,
Ms. Lynch?
yes.
So item number 4, open discussion with commissioners, which we can discuss anything attributed to the charter. And I think one thing we need to look at is what our next complaint is going to be.
Excuse me, on item 3, there's more discussion on the item, not on that particular thing you're voting on right there. So may I speak? Mr. Chair?
She wants to speak on 3.
Well, we already passed it.
You
and
already
we
passed
did.
that you all could do your email thing, but there are lots of there's lots more discussion about the public input, other than what you just voted on. You don't wanna have any more discussion about public input.
Well, we kind of addressed that. What is your, go ahead, briefly, please.
Okay, yeah, it will literally take less than a minute. I sent it through Arlene's email, she said she'd send it to all of you. The National Civic League has a guide for charter commissions, and in there and I did a very poor job of emphasizing public opinion and input last time I was here. That's why I sent this to you all, and I kind of highlighted and bolded some things that I wanted to make sure were talked about. I'm glad that you're having the input through email, because the Civic League says specifically that these meetings are poorly attended, so it's one of the worst places to get input, so I'm glad that you've got the email and the website set up. One of the things it says, through this government website, residents should be able to sign up for charter-related email alerts, press releases, and meeting reminders. Those are things that I think are very important, because the public is not aware that these are going on. So if you can get it on the notification from the city of Sulphur, it'll reach 10,000 people immediately to let them know that this is going on, and give them a way to sign up for email alerts to remind them, hey, today's the Charter Commission is getting together.
I have to agree with that. I looked for the date and I didn't find it on the website. That may have been my oversight, but it wasn't
somewhere in
under,
the minutes, I think.
only in the minutes. It wasn't listed as a a meeting.
Minutes and
It's on the agenda.
Minutes
On
and
the
agenda.
agenda.
On the,
But that is something I talked to y'all about, one of y'all about before, was that it should be not just in the minutes, because people aren't gonna go, oh, let me read the minutes and see what was in there, but they will pay attention to email alerts. Because we all get it, for all of our businesses, we have email alerts.
So you want a calendar? Is that what you want?
Yeah, that would work. That would work.
Because they're in we got the meeting dates in there, we could just make a calendar, I guess.
Wait, what do you mean?
What,
Is there a calendar on the website is what I'm asking?
That says like,
Is there like
Home Rule
a,
Charter Commission calendar.
like, is there a calendar of events? A
I
drop down
think
or-
there is.
yeah,
Could we do that?
and then when you look
Just
at
add it to that.
agendas and minutes,
Could we,
it lists all the meetings by agenda, and then it lists the minutes associated with past meetings, where you can look at that, and just in case you couldn't get to it, you can look at the agenda, you can come to the meeting, you can contact us, and then you can look at, any agendas that are coming up.
I can get with IT and,
Okay.
Get on the city
Send that,
notification.
send us to that as well,
City
please.
On
notification.
the, you have events,
I think so.
just post it on events.
right, right. Okay.
So you can get a city notification to go out? On notifications?
Go ahead and send that to us, like the other things,
Yeah.
and we'll look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to emphasize something that was very interesting in this guide. The Civic League says, just as important as what you're doing here, they said, is making sure that everything's very clear to the public. And I think the emails and getting the notification out, I think that's a great start. But just keep in mind as you go through this and as you read those emails, they said some of the best charters that were ever written were not accepted by the public. And it was because the communication hadn't taken place. This is what we've done, this is why we've done it, and that's why it's expressed to y'all before, I wish you'd put your bios out there. Just a quick bio. All the interesting things you said about Mr. Satig when he walked in.
yeah.
That humanizing of this commission could go a great deal to selling it to the public.
Well, and Ms. Broussard, on that note, I did discuss that with at least one other commission member. I'm not averse to doing that. I mean, kinda.
Nobody should have to.
I don't have an issue doing it if everyone else, I mean, cause I do think it's interesting that we
We'll
all come from
visit
different
on
walks
that.
of
We'll
life. Sure.
take that too, if you wanna go ahead and add
Right.
that to what
Yeah.
you're asking, we can do that.
We would just post it, my idea would be just have it online, like on a little link, or just do it or something.
Yeah, city software.
Yeah, just do a little blurb.
Like our other ones.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bigger place. Going back to bigger place. We have, our next meeting is the
23rd, I think.
Let's see.
23rd, which is,
Right,
January the 23rd.
23rd, and we're at 5:30 again, I think.
yes,
I like the
January
5:30.
23rd,
Yeah, I
5:30.
think the 5:30.
We have 5, 6, 7, and 8 yet to do. I'm thinking 5 and 6 for the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all do
Okay.
4?
Did we do?
Oh, we didn't
haven't
do,
done-
we
we
didn't do
haven't done
4.
Four.
we-
Oh, I'm so
can we
sorry.
do
I'm
4?
looking at these. So let's do,
4, 5, 6.
4 and
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5.
Mr. Chair, can we look at 6?
Mr. Chair, why don't you just try to list all of them, and then you can stop at any particular point.
All right. We'll bite off 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And we'll stop when
Stop when we-
we tire everybody out.
Can I make a motion that somebody gets some water and read next time? Maybe some snacks.
My water is sitting on the
I got my
kitchen
water
counter,
right here.
so-
Mine's in my car.
Okay, and we agree, we're just gonna,
Keep going.
keep going, and then we'll have a stop and play.
Yeah.
Then we can go.
So are we on item 4?
We stopped,
We
we
stopped.
we
We're
have
on
not,
4 now.
we are
Yeah,
starting on
but
4.
open discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other discussion with the committee that you'd like to bring up? No?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're breaking stuff.
Breaking the city, breaking the city's mic.
So, there's no other discussion with the commissioners. Move to number 5, public comment, 3 minutes per speaker. Not yet.
No, it's the public
Does
comment.
anyone, have any public comment they would like to get into?
I'd just like, real quick,
All right.
I just wanna thank
Thank
you
you,
guys
man.
for doing this. This is quite an undertaking. It's something that has not been done since the charter has actually been formed in 1984. It's a very important thing. I think the Bruce Hart brought that to the forefront quite, well. And so, I just wanna thank you guys for taking your time to do this. It's a great public service. I wanna thank you for that. We don't have people that do this as well as they should. As you noticed tonight, there were some things in there that state statute has brought forth. There's some things that technology has changed just as well. We're trying to look at maybe making government a little bit and software a little bit more efficient than what it was in the past, and some of those changes reflect that. And I think you've noticed that just as well. And so there's been some other things that have been brought forth. I think we're gonna take in consideration just as well. Or you should take in consideration as well, not me. This is not me at all, but I just wanna thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And all I would like to say is thanks to the city council members and to the mayor who appointed these people up here, because this is a good group of people. I mean, it's a cross-section of many different types of people. It's a cross-section of many vocations, and I think that we're pulling it all together and we're working very well together. And I appreciate all of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for everything you're doing too.
Need a motion to,
Make a motion to adjourn.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.